Hi, this is Matthew Pejkovic from Matt's Movie Reviews. Christiana and David, how are you both today?
Nice to see
Hi,
you.
good.
Christiana, I have to ask you first, what I love about movies is that they introduce us to characters that have been like lost in history. Mother Cabrini is definitely one of those people. I'm just curious though, what did you know of Mother Cabrini before this movie? Was when you've received the script, was that the first time you knew of her? And if so, what were your first impressions of her as a person?
No, I didn't know much about her, and obviously I was impressed by her the moment I started researching about her. Um, to me, what's really I find really almost absurd that people don't know. Well, it's not absurd. It's how history was, went. And so much of our human history, not just American history or Italian history, our own history. So much of it was actually carried on by women. And to find out that so much was done by this woman, it was just another proof of how little we know about what kind of people we are today, of the work, the amount of work, hidden, forgotten work that women have done throughout history. So I think that I found that very, it wasn't surprising. It was just, it was just confirming everything. And I was happy that this story came to life because of this reason, because we can now we already began, but we can continue shifting, changing the narrative, enriching it with things that we never imagined.
Yeah, I should say one of the things that I'm just listening to you. One of the things that's interesting about the men, we tend to know a lot more about the men like Ford or Carnegie or the Rockefellers. The men don't tend to be forgotten as much. And you think about what Mother Cabrini did all over
Well,
this
David,
world, the
just on that note,
institutions,
Archbishop
orphanages,
Corrigan has a
hospitals,
incredibly
colleges.
complicated
But her
legacy,
story,
and especially
for some
so with his
reason,
Yeah,
we
relationship with
well,
don't
Mother
know it the way we
Cabrini.
know their
When
stories.
you
yeah,
approach
because
a
normally
character
men take
like the
credit for
Archbishop, how
so
do you
many
go about
things that
doing so?
actually
Is it
women did.
research heavy?
Exactly.
Is it
So,
instinctual? How
And
do you
they
go
write the
about
history.
playing a character
yes,
like
they
that?
do.
It's a combination of both those things. As much as I could find about him, I wanted to learn. I played George Washington, same thing. I just want to know everything I can possibly know. But at a certain point, you let that go and you have to live and hope that that has, informed things and filters through you and just it comes out in relationships. So it's fun to do the research. It's more fun to get to do it with someone like this.
Christiana, myself as a child of immigrants, I always hear the stories about the struggles they've had coming here to Australia, and I'm always keep that in mind, when I deal with things in my own life. When you hear about the resistance and the prejudice that Mother Cabrini faced as an Italian in New York City of all things, because now when we think of New York City today, we think that the Italian American culture is so much embedded in there. What type of effects does that have you as a person when hearing her story and the struggles she had and how she was able to overcome those struggles and become this giant of the church that we know her of today?
Well, initially is rage because even though it's well past, and now, as you said, the culture, Italian culture, is well embedded in the American society. Initially, you get that sense of like frustration because it's happened, but also I get very sad because Italians tend to forget that. So I'm actually hoping that this film will resonate in Italy as well because we're not treating our immigrants the way we should, remembering what we were and what we did because we were immigrants and immigrants in another land ourselves. So I do get sad about that sometimes, definitely.
And David, it's really interesting to me about how when it comes to stories of the great Christian saints and just, the great kind of like saints in general, how it never happens. The champions of the church aren't found in the higher echelons like the Archbishop, but found in the streets, that with the downtrodden and with the poor. How important is it for people to realize that to find the saints, you have to find them amongst the people and not necessarily in echelons of power?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because we're talking about Corrigan, he is definitely somebody who's lost his way. He feels like he is doing the work of God. And he is so far from doing the work of God. He's not in the streets. He's not there with her. He's not doing, and he's making the Italians worship in the basement of the church rather than the sanctuary of the church. And he had a lot to learn. And he thought he was learned. Went to Rome, went to the American University over there, was a big deal. Thought he knew a lot. And he knew stuff in that way. But the stuff of what we would now call sainthood, he was not even close to it.
Well, Cristiana and David, thank you both very much for your time, and congratulations with the movie. You've both done great work here, and so thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching the Matt's Movie Reviews channel. Please subscribe for more reviews, podcast interviews, and exclusive content.